Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Piscia, Director of the Public Affairs Reporting Program here at the University of Illinois Springfield. I want to thank you for taking a few minutes today to watch our presentation about our 10-month master's degree program that focuses on government and political reporting. We hope you'll find it's a good option for people wanting to get into journalism and to get some great experience in the process. Let's just jump right into the presentation here with a few facts about the program. We'll be joined later by Ben Szalinski. He's a program alum from a few years ago, who's now working professionally for a news organization in Chicago. And he'll tell us more about his experience in PAR and why he chose PAR as his way to get more journalism experience. First, as I mentioned, PAR, it's a quick program, just 10 months. You're in and out of here. You start in August. You're out of here by that summer in June or early July. And our goal is just to produce intelligent journalists and who can produce news coverage about government and politics. We feel that strong public affairs reporting and strong reporting about government and politics and what politicians are doing with our tax money and doing with the rules that we have to follow is a critical element of keeping our democracy. And our goal here in PAR is just to keep a solid stream of new journalists moving into that area of reporting and writing. And we think we do a pretty good job of it, and we have some great alumni to prove that. You spend the first semester of your PAR experience in the classroom, starting in August and ending around Christmas. You will take an advanced reporting class. You'll take a class about Illinois policy and politics to learn the ins and outs of how things work at the State House. And also a couple of electives of your choice from whatever subject interests you here at UIS. A lot of our students take courses in communication, political science, history, English, whatever you want. And we can talk about that more as we put together your plan for your year here at PAR. But as part of that advanced reporting class, which I personally teach, I'm starting to get students comfortable right away with getting in front of important people in Illinois politics. These are just a few pictures of my class doing news conferences during that fall practice semester with Illinois House Speaker Chris Welch. We met with the Supreme Court Justice Mary Jane Tice, and we also meet with other newsmakers over Zoom and in person. Just to get you comfortable asking questions of very important people and then writing news stories about what they're saying and what they want to do. All that leads into the spring semester, which is when we assign you to an internship at the state capitol with a professional news organization. That internship lasts 6 months, starts in January, wraps up at the end of June, and coincides with the spring legislative session of the Illinois General Assembly. This is the time that they do most of their work, introducing and passing bills, including the state budget and other major milestones to get the state through to the next thing. You're part of that. You're an equally contributing member of that news organization. Here's a list of some of the places where we've assigned interns in previous years. We have wire services like Capital News Illinois, newspapers like Lee Enterprises, which runs the papers in Bloomington and Decatur and some other places. The State Journal Register is the local paper here in Springfield. We have some Chicago area titles. Illinois Times is the alternative weekly here in Springfield. We also have some broadcast placements, including the NPR affiliate in Chicago, WBEZ, TV station WCIA, which is based in Champaign, but they have a full-time person here. And then also we've assigned interns in the past to the NPR stations in Bloomington and Peoria. These are some pictures of my students from last year's class, sort of doing their thing during their internship. Erin Hinkle there on the left, she interned with Lee Enterprises, so her stories were appearing in Bloomington and Decatur. She went on to get hired by the Illinois Farm Bureau as a sort of a news reporter for their organization. Cameron Cutinello did her internship with WBEZ, the Chicago NPR station, and she stayed within the NPR family and got hired full-time at WCBU and WGLT, those public radio stations in central Illinois. PAR, we like to say, solves that challenge of getting professional work samples and experience. If you've ever tried to get a journalism internship, you'll find it might be a challenge. The internship host is going to want to see some proof that you've had some work that's been professionally published in a newspaper or broadcast on a professional radio station. And in order to get that those work samples, someone needs to give you a chance. You need to get some experience. So that's sort of a catch-22 of the journalism world, trying to get both that experience and the professional work samples, since one sort of serves the other. We eliminate that problem. If you get into PAR, you are guaranteed to get an internship. And you will get those professional work samples in your first few weeks of the 6-month internship. So no challenge there. Also like to mention PAR, very, very affordable, and even made even more affordable for this upcoming class, the class of 2025, thanks to some support from the Joyce Foundation. We're part of a program with the Joyce Foundation. They're providing a 2-year grant. This is coming up on the 2nd year of it, where they are adding some extra funding that goes directly into students' pockets while they are interning for their news organizations at the Capitol. I put together this chart here just to summarize the cost structure estimated of a PAR degree. You'll notice on the left column there, the resident, what Illinois residents would pay. If you're not an Illinois resident, with the out-of-state tuition rates are a little higher at the U of I. But still, if you look at the bottom line, it is a very affordable program. You'll notice you'll pay full freight for tuition and fees in that fall semester, but you'll notice spring and summer, those tuition costs are waived. They're zero. That's part of your compensation for being a working journalist at the Capitol. And then on top of that, the stipend, that's money that goes directly back into your pocket in the form of a paycheck. UIS itself will pay, our current rate is about $585 a month times 6 months. That's how we arrive at the 3510 there. We've asked our internship hosts, so the TV stations, the wire services, the newspapers, to at least match that amount that UIS pays. So that's another $3,500 in your pocket. And then there's that Joyce Foundation grant from this year, which amounts to $1,000 per month for a total of $6,000 for the 6-month internship. On top of that, we have several scholarships that all students are guaranteed to receive. Once you are admitted into the program, we will award you scholarships that you can apply to that fall semester tuition bill to help defray some of those costs. Those are some conservative numbers that we put there, at least $2,000 and $3,000 for the out-of-state residents. I'll note, we've had a great fundraising year this past year. We were able to give a little more money to each student. Every student got a little closer to $3,000 for the in-state students to go toward their tuition bill. So if you look at the bottom line of that chart, you'll notice all the money that you're paying into the university, and then all the money you get it back in the form of stipends and scholarships. An Illinois resident will actually come out ahead about $4,000, and a non-resident will pay about $1,100. Of course, as the notes on the left indicate, this doesn't include the cost of housing or books or health insurance if you need it, and other living expenses. But still, this is a very affordable, cost-efficient, time-efficient way to get some great experience doing journalism, and also to get a master's degree, which can serve you well down the road to get into teaching at the university level. From the start of it, you can, your resume will stand out among others, among all the other bachelor degree graduates that are coming into the job market at the moment. I personally am a PAR graduate myself. I went through the program in the late 90s when I got hired full-time at the State Journal Register, which is where I did my internship during PAR. They hired me full-time, and I stayed there for 21 years as a reporter and an editor. And I came back to UIS about 5 years ago to take over this program. Without that master's degree, I wouldn't have qualified to teach at the university level. So it's definitely been an advantage. And then just also wanted to mention here the excellent job placement rate. We keep the program rather small, about 10 to 12 students per year. And each of the last several years, if my students, once they get to the end of the PAR experience, they're ready to go to work full time for a news organization, they're going to find a job. I've had 100% placement among those students who are, were ready to go to work right away. All of them had jobs within a few weeks or at most a couple of months after PAR ended. So it's PAR is a well-known quantity around Illinois, especially, and around the nation as well. We have graduates. Our program has been around for 50 years. We have graduates who are all over the country working in newsrooms and other communication jobs, and we're a tight-knit group. We all know each other. We keep in touch with each other. So if a PAR graduate is seeking a job in a certain market, I will help connect that student with other PAR people who are in that market who can help make some connections and give you some insight and some tips on working in that area, and maybe even make some personal introductions as you go through the job finding process to help you along there. There's my contact information, my social media information. The uis.edu/PAR is the program website. It has a lot more information than what I'm able to give you today. And if you're ready to apply, you can go to uis.edu/apply and get an application started. We require 3 letters of reference from your professors or other journalism managers or other people who can speak to your ability to succeed in this sort of a program. And we'll also do a remote writing test just to test your news writing abilities off the top. And then from there, we will make decisions. You might find on the website that it'll talk about an April 1st application deadline. That's true, but if you want to apply now, I am considering applications on a rolling basis. So when a new application arrives and we receive all of the elements that go along with it, I will grab that as soon as I can, get you that writing test, and then hopefully make a decision on admission rather quickly. So you don't have to wait until, you're almost, school is almost over or summer's about to begin. Well, we can get your plans set up this spring. With that, I wanted to move on to a short interview with Ben. So we'll bring in Ben here. All right. Hi, Ben. Thanks for joining us here. And for everyone, this is Ben Szalinski. He is a legislative reporter for the Daily Line in Chicago, PAR graduate of 2021. Is that right, Ben?
Yep.
And I'd like to bring Ben in just to talk a little bit about his decision to go into PAR after he was done with his undergraduate here. Could you talk about that decision a little bit? I know, once you're done with your undergraduate years, you have some options, and what led you to PAR?
Yeah, I was a political science student. So after, as you kind of end college and your senior year, it's kind of like, okay, what do I want to do with this degree now? And I wasn't really sure I wanted to do things that, involved like partisan politics, for example. And I had always wanted to go into the media, be a journalist, be a reporter, covering politics. So I think to me, PAR was just the most natural next step because that's what I would have the chance to do, doing these internships and learning about covering Illinois politics and getting the experience doing it. That would set me up for a career. It was a really nice next step to actually build on the political science degree and actually give me the skills to have a career in journalism, doing what I want.
Yeah, and that's one thing I forget about sometimes, that you were not a journalism undergrad. We get a lot of journalism undergrads. It's a natural progression to go from there to into PAR. But we also get students from other disciplines, and we really spend that first fall semester really getting everyone up to speed on their journalism production writing skills. Can you talk about how that went for you and sort of how, and then, get into your internship as well, sort of how you felt once the internship started, if you felt like you were ready to go?
Yeah, in that fall semester, I remember we had several classes that were basically designed to build up those skills we would need as reporters and to help us make us comfortable when the internship started in January. So I remember some of the classes were specifically on Illinois politics, such as how the legislative process works, what are some of these big issues, some of the history behind those issues that would be helpful for us to know as reporters when we start writing about it. And then some of the other classes were, focused on writing and producing our stories, learning how to write for print, for TV, for radio. And those were pretty helpful because some of the assignments we got would be, the governor was having a news conference, so we would watch it online and we would write about it just as if we were there in the room covering it as a normal reporter. So by the time January came around, we were basically ready to go. We had already practiced all those skills. We knew the knowledge of the legislative process, and it made the transition into the internship very smooth.
Yeah, and talk about that internship. Um, you may have other people out there may have had experiences with other journalism internships where you're kind of doing the grunt work, maybe even getting coffee and pizza for your boss. But we design our internships at PAR to sort of be more hands-on, sort of describe sort of what you were doing in relation to everyone else on the staff there.
Yeah, I was assigned to work for Springfield's newspaper, the State Journal Register. And basically from day one, I was, treated like a normal reporter, writing stories, doing interviews. And that's how the process went throughout the entire spring, covering the legislative process, splitting coverage and making coverage decisions with the bureau chief, our internship mentor. And, we didn't do the getting coffee for anybody or anything. We were there assigned to go to news conferences, cover a committee hearing, writing up stories about the action that was happening in Illinois politics, the General Assembly. One of I think my very first story was actually, it was a front page story on the SJR covering January 6th. I covered a rally outside the Capitol, protesting the election results. And, that was the very first day. So I think it really just shows that from day one, you're treated like a normal reporter. You're going to sit with the rest of the media. You can ask the questions in the news conference. It's basically a full-time job, just as an internship and a good learning experience.
Yeah, and talk about how what you learned in PAR sort of led you to where you are now. I mean, tell us a little bit about your current job and what you're doing these days.
Yeah, so now I work for the Daily Line, which is a newsletter out of Chicago that covers Chicago City Council and Illinois politics specifically. So essentially, what I do now is exactly what I did during my internship in PAR. I'm covering the General Assembly. I cover the governor's office, state agencies, elections, just about anything that happens in Illinois politics in my role. And, I think PAR, it really set me up and gave me those skills and the experience. So when I took this job after doing about half a year at a local newspaper, I was really comfortable just coming straight back to Springfield. I knew a lot of people. I knew exactly what was going on. And I mean, I was more than prepared to just jump right into the job. And it was an extremely natural transition.
Well, great. Well, Ben, I want to thank you for taking a moment to talk with us here about your experience. And if you're out there and interested in PAR as a next step for you, scroll back to that contact slide I have earlier in this video that has all my contact information and application information. And we'd love to hear from you. And please contact me with any questions. Thanks.